Good morning. My name is Rick Tolliver. Let me get this thing lined out here. Bear with me, please. Well, I guess we'll go with that. So, my name is Rick Tolliver. Good morning. I'm talking about World War Me, an inspirational memoir, my my life story, my inspirational share with you and the world regarding addictions and compulsive erratic behavior and sin and the opportunities to be free one day at a time for the rest of your life. And also to share these things with your loved ones and others that might be dear to you. So, okay, we've talked recently about the overall picture of addictions and heartache and heartbreak and sin. And I categorize those things into about 10 different categories that pretty much relate to everybody in the world. I'm not going to recap those this morning, but I'm going to start at the top. The very first topical concern I had was drug and alcohol addiction. This one, of course, was disabling to me. It caused me many heartbreaks and heartaches, and even though we are able to find our way with the help of Jesus Christ and become new creations through His power and glory and His goodwill and love for us, even though we still have consequences, and He does not remove the consequences. We have to live with that. I have over the years referred to these as scars. Scars are good. They indicate a hurt that has healed, but yet every time we see it, it might remind us of the pain and suffering that came with that initial injury. So we're allowed to bear the consequences. That is fair. It's just. Our God is a just God. But if we're covered by His blood, that's where it ends. If we've asked for forgiveness and are aligned with Him and committed and submitted to Him, then that's the only consequences we'll ever have to bear. There will be no eternal consequence, because once the blood is applied, forgiveness is given. So the consequences are part of it, and yet He will soften that as well if we allow Him to. All right, let's get down to basics. I titled this stream this morning, What is Addiction? I'm going to tell you what addiction is from my viewpoint, from the evidence of my life. I'll just talk, I'll keep it down, I'll keep it limited to drug and alcohol addiction. Those are described as chemical dependency. I don't even like some of these labels that the world has placed on addiction factors and addiction matters. But so that we'll be familiar with the terms, I'll use some of the established terms. So chemical dependency means that basically I depend on drugs or alcohol for whatever it is I lack, whatever it is I'm searching for, whatever it is I need. It's an escape avenue to give me some relief from the pressures of life, from the awareness of my failings and my inability, my instability, my lack of purpose, my lack of my lack of credibility with others. And I'm basically a fake, faking it and not making it. So alcohol and drugs, and by the way, alcohol is called spirits for a reason. Yeah, it's filthy, dirty, evil spirits. And we take that inside of us. And then what do you think is going to happen? Nothing good. And remember, our flesh loves whatever makes it feels good, whatever makes it feel good. And then if we're dominated by our flesh, well, there's no way that we can avoid repeating that great high because it wants to. And then it leads me to addiction. And I am a prisoner to the flesh, my flesh, and the whims and desires of that flesh. So let me back up just a little bit. I can't help but get ahead of myself sometimes, but I'll back up. So the natural world teaches us, it's in our face, that addictions, particularly drug and alcohol addictions, are an illness. It is a disease, they say. And some of these sickening, pathetic commercials on TV reminds us that you cannot do this yourself. You cannot do this yourself. This is a disease. It's not your fault, but you can get healed from this disease. But you got to use the professional tools as provided by the world, psychiatrists and psychologists and hospitals and programs and on it goes. It's a huge industry. People make billions of dollars off of our misfortune, off of our plight, off of our pathetic lives. It's a lie. It's a lie straight from hell. That's my opinion. I'm not putting these people down. I pray for them. I love them. I'm sure some mean well, some do not. Either way, the theory, the notion, the unprovable, huge effort to promote this theory is absolutely ridiculous. It's reputable. They have no evidence. They can't prove it to a reasonable soul. And so I submit to you that I have been clean and sober one day at a time for 27 years through the absolute indwelling power of Jesus Christ and his Holy Spirit. And prior to that, I was sane and sober for about 20 years, not quite, maybe 18 years during my first marriage and the family that God gave to me, my 3 daughters, precious, and my wife and friends and loved ones and church support and fellowship. Because of those godly gifts and a reckoning that was accomplished inside of me when I hooked up with Jesus, I didn't want to drink anymore to the point of being crazy. So I didn't. I chose not to. My choice and the power of God set me free. It happened again later on when I was desperate, and I chose to be sober, and I chose to let God fill me with his power and truth and promises. And I was sober because I didn't want to drink. So that's what happens when people truly get healed and set free. Okay? And I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I'm not a drug addict anymore. I would never label myself as such because I was delivered and set free by the power of Jesus Christ. That's how you get out of the mess, the corner, the trap, the hell that you find yourself in. That's it. That's too simple, and it doesn't cost anything. So the world around us, with its other ideas, will not care to talk about that particular solution or that fact. You see, I can prove it, okay? Let me ask you one question, then I'm going to be quiet and we'll continue this tomorrow because I've been told that my long streams are not as effective as short ones. That's probably true. So, but here's the thing, all right? Think about this. Just give it a little thought. All right. If I had a horrible, incurable, killer disease, addiction, and I just quit because I chose to and trust God, not once but twice in my life. And remember, this last time I've been sane and sober 27 years, one day at a time. All right. If I had such a horrible, incurable disease, that I had no way to deal with. I had to hire help, go to whatever, hospitals, therapy for the rest of my life to stave off this. I mean, to help whatever, the meds, they substitute whatever you're doing with meds and so on and so on and so on and so on. But if I had this horrible disease that was uncontrollable, how did I stop for 27 years? How am I not imbibing into the alcohol and injecting the drugs into my system or taking pills? Why, how, if it's a disease, how does that happen? How's that possible? Think about it. It's not a stinking disease. It's a lie straight from hell. It's a trap set by the devil and his government and his representatives and his collection of filth and demons that wants us in their grip. All right, so give it some consideration. We're going to talk some more about this tomorrow and for quite some time, because we're going to deal with other things besides drug and alcohol addiction. I started with those because that's a big deal. It's a big problem. I know many people that I have ministered to and worked with over the years in recovery programs and in discipleship programs that were set free and are still free one day at a time. There's evidence. There's absolute evidence that I'm right, and the representatives of disease are wrong. That's my opinion, and I'll be happy to debate a reasonable representative of the other side at their pleasure. Trust God. See you later. Bye.